So this is the fabric I'm going to be using for this tutorial. This is flowered crepe and I have 1.5 yards here. So the first thing to do is to fold your fabric into two. So I'm going to be folding this fabric on the wrong side. So how I fold my fabric is I use the yard length. So this part is the 1.5 yard measurement. So this is the length for the 1.5 yards, and this side is the crepe length. So this 1.5 yards, I fold it into two this way. After folding into two, I fold it into two this way again. So now I have my fabric folded into four because we are going to be cutting both the front and the back part together. So now what I have here is going to be my length. So my blouse length is 25 inches, and as you can see, I already have more than 25 inches here. So now for the width, to decide how wide your width is going to be, so you are going to use your bust measurement. So you are going to divide your bust measurement into 4, and then you add 8 inches extra. You can also decide to add 12 inches if you want your fabric, if you want your sleeve to be as long as what is at the thumbnail, but I don't want my blouse to be too wide, so that's why I added 8 inches. So you can decide to add 12 inches to make your sleeve really long. So now I already have it folded into 4, so I turn it this way so that it's going to be easier for me to mark while working on the camera. So now I have this fabric folded into 4, and you can see that this part here is all closed up. So we already have the length. First thing I'm going to do is to mark out the length. So now I'm going to be marking out, the length is 25 inches. So I'm going to be adding 1 inch extra. So that's going to be 26 inches. So I'm marking 26 inches as the neck. And now I'll just cut the excess off. So this is the width, and now this is the length. So the next thing to mark now is the neck measurement. So I'm going to be marking 3 inches by 3.5. You can go ahead to use 3.5 by 3.5. That is also fine. So after doing this, I'm just going to use my free hand to connect from this point to the second point. So I'm just going to connect it from this side here to meet the what I measured on this down part. So you can just use your free hand like this, and if you cannot use your free hand, you can as well use your curve. So I'm just going to cut this out. So after cutting this, the next thing to do is to come to the side here, and then I'm going to mark 2 inches. So this 2 inches is going to serve as the shoulder slope, and I'm going to connect it towards the neckline. Then I'm going to cut it through here. So now I'm going to put this aside now. So I went ahead to cut out this bias. This is 2 inches in width and is long enough to cover the neck. So I'm going to be using this to tape the neckline. I've also cut out this also. I have this, it is 2 inches on fold, and when I open it up, it is 4 inches. So I'm going to be using this for the band of the sleeve band. So now this is the blouse. I'm going to open it up like this, and the next thing we are going to be doing is to stitch the shoulders. So I'm going to be stitching the shoulders by 1/2 inch, and I'm going to be doing this on for both shoulders. Then I can go ahead to pin it together so that it does not shift, or it's going to be easier for me to stitch. So I already have it stitched. The next thing to do now is to tape the neckline. So I'm going to turn it to the wrong side like this, and then I'm going to bring the bias that I cut out. So I'm going to be stitching it from the wrong side towards the right side. So now I'm going to place the right part of my bias on this way, and then I'm going to be starting from the side where I join the shoulders. But I'm not going to start from the tip of this bias. I'm going to leave about 1 inches before I start stitching, so that by the time I finish stitching around, I can use that to close it together. So now I'm going to pin it and then stitch it all around first, and when I get to the end here, I'm going to close it together using the 1 inch I have left, and I'm going to trim off the excess. So but before that, let's go around. Let's stitch it all around the neckline first. So I'm done stitching it around, and here I already closed the starting point, and then trim off the excess. So what I'm going to do now is to close that part. So I'm going to stitch it down, and I already did that here. So now we are going to be turning this around. We are going to be using it to close the stitching allowance on this neckline. So after stitching it on the wrong side here, we are going to be turning it towards the right side. So now what I'm going to do is this stitching allowance at the neck area, I'm going to make sure that it's standing up, it's not slipping. So I'm going to be flipping this bias on it to the right side, and then I'm going to be stitching it on the right side. So this is what I'm saying. I'm going to leave this one standing up like this, and then I'm going to flip this one like this. Then I'm going to fold in a little bit in this way, and then I'm going to be stitching it like this all around the neckline. So to make this easier, you can as well go ahead and pin it together so that it's going to be easier for you. So just turn it to the right side this way, then fold a little bit in to close in the rough edges. Then I'm going to be stitching it all around. So now I'm going to be using pin to pin it together so that by the time I'm stitching it, it's going to be very easy for me to stitch. So you can as well do the same. So I am done pinning it all around. So now I'm going to be stitching it this way. So while stitching it, once I get to the pin, I'll keep removing the pin and then keep stitching it till I get to the end. So this is it. I'm done stitching it. You can see what it looks like. So what I'm going to do now is to give it a good press. So the next thing to do now is to fold this fabric into two and then mark out the sleeve parts. So what I'm going to do now is to come to this shoulder line. You know, the measurements for your 3/4 is what you are going to be using for the sleeve. So for my client, it is 10 inches. So I'm going to divide that into two. That is 5 inches. So I'm going to be marking 5 inches exactly here. So now under the sleeve measurements, I'm going to mark 1 inch. So I'm just going to curve it from that round sleeve to the side using that 1 inch. And I'm just going to use my free hand to curve it all the way to the hem line. I hope you get what I'm saying. So I'm just going to be stitching it from the sleeve here, from the 5 inches mark to that curve towards the 1 inch mark that I mark on this side. And I'm going to be doing the same thing to the second side. So I'm going to mark 5 inches here, my round sleeve measurement divided by 2, and then below I'm going to mark 1 inch all the way down. And then I'm just going to make a curve from the round sleeve to the side. So I already done stitching both sides. So I'm just going to notch it just below the round sleeve there, so that it's going to be easier for me to stitch my band. So this is what I've cut out for the band. This is the 4 inches I have folded into two. So now I stitch it by half of an inch. I iron it, fold it in by half of an inch on both sides. So the length here is 11 inches. My round sleeve is 10 inches. So I added 1 inch extra. So now what I'm going to do is to fold it together this way. So you know I have each side folded by half of an inch. So I'm going to leave one side closed and the other one I'm going to open it up, as you can see here. So this upper part is closed and the lower one I open it up. So I'm going to stitch it together by half of an inch. So I'm done stitching it together. So this is what it looks like. So this part that I have, I'm going to turn it to the right side. Now I'm going to open it up like this. So this part that I have open is where I'm going to be stitching to the band, to the sleeve part. So now I'm going to be stitching it from inside the sleeve, that's on the wrong side, but I'm going to be placing the right part of this band on the inside of the sleeve, so that by the time I stitch, I'm going to be top stitching it towards the right side. So I'm going to pin where I have joining on the sleeve I'm going to make it align with that of the where I have joining on the band. So you can see that I have this band inside. So now I'm going to stitch it all around. So this is the band inside. I've stitched it all around. So now I'm going to bring it out, and then I'm going to be flipping it to cover up the stitch. So I'm going to be top stitching it like this. So where I have joining also, I'm going to look out for that and make sure that it aligns with where I have joining on the sleeve. So now this part is, or the other part is already closed, so that half inch that is already closed inside is going to make it very easy for me to top stitch around the band. So now I'm just going to pin it all around, and then I'm going to be top stitching all around the sleeve. So this way is going to make the sleeve very neat, and it's not going to be bringing out thread. So this is it. You can see how nice it looks. So the next thing now is to hem the lower part. So I'm going to be folding in 1 inch this way. After that, I'm going to be folding in a little, maybe about 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to be stitching it all around. So this is the blouse. You can see what it already look like, and as you can see that it's not as wide, or the sleeve is not as long as that of the one on the thumbnail. So if you want your sleeve to be that long, just add 12 inches extra to your bust measurement after dividing it by 4. So thank you so much for watching. Give your comments, like this video, subscribe to this channel if you are yet to do so, and I'll see you in my next. Bye.